Thermal imaging is kind of the old adage that ghosts create cold spots, right? So I should be orange, red, and yellow in there. Yeah, that's me, not you. He's like, it's not a mirror. It doesn't work. Sorry, that was really funny. It kind of made my whole night. But everything around me should be blue and black. So, I'm sorry, all of the notifications for me to go to work is coming up. So sorry about that. I know. So it's going to fluctuate based on what's inside the screen. So we're going to take me out.
Okay.
And it's going to fluctuate. The trees should have some orange and red and yellow in them now. Yeah.
Well, the dark.
Well, the blue is going to be the spacing in between. That's going to be the air. So what are we looking for here? We're looking for those blue and black spots to actually start moving on their own. So if something comes across my face that's blue, obviously my face is not going to change temperature to go to a blue temperature. That would be a 10 to 15 degree drop minimum. So if something does come across, we obviously have something going on. So with that being said, this is already recording. So Ray, I'm going to hand this off to you.
Okay.
There is a battery pack on the back.
Okay.
And the camera is on your left-hand side.
Okay.
So that's the
move
little
my
attachment.
finger.
Yep. You got
okay.
it. See the square on there?
Yes.
Okay, that means that it's recording. So if you hit it by accident, just let me know, and it'll turn to a circle. And I'll check with you throughout the night just to make sure it's still going. And that way I have to splice your videos together so you don't have to go through different spoofs of it. So you're going to be the cameraman all night.
Ooh, look at that sexy thing.
We are going to show you some more about all of these devices in the first location because it is haunted, but it doesn't have a deep history. So it kind of gives us a chance to further explore what you guys are going to be working with.
Okay.
So, Tina, was it? Mm-hmm. Man, I'm getting the names down. Look at me. So you have to imagine, I talk to probably 70 to 120 people a week. So, and that's on the phone, and then usually until I get a face-to-face, I'm horrible at names. I can't even remember my own characters' names.
Oh, I'm bad about names.
Yeah.
You are too.
I should remember one of them is my
You are.
At least I remember yours.
Hey,
Yeah.
Nicole, you want you here?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Should be, but it won't be.
Oh, wow.
All right.
I actually watched that show. What is it? Ghost Hunters
Okay,
or something?
with Grant
And they
Wilson.
do the voice box or
Yep.
yeah.
So this one is going to work the same way. It's going to just be a little different. How this actually works is it scans through all the FM radio stations. They have theirs set up to where it's just nothing but white noise because they have it set to super fast, as fast as it'll go. I have this one slowed down a little bit. I want the radio chatter to come through. You guys aren't used to listening to this, and I'm not going to be giving you suggestive thoughts of, hey, it said this. So you're going to be listening to this in real time. The cool thing is that it records the entire sweep for us, even when it's on mute, and it doesn't record any outside noise. So based on the timestamps of the video and the audio, I use that as a reference of like, hey, what were we asking in this time frame? Why did this answer come through to make sure everything's going to make sense? So the things that you're going to hear out of here are going to be DJs and song lyrics and commercials. I want you to tell me what that stuff says. That's the possible message that we're probably waiting to receive based on a question we're going to ask throughout the night. So I'll go ahead and turn it up just so you can get a gist of what it sounds like. Let her go. That's the first thing I heard. Of course, it was Hootie and the Blowfish. Way to go, Darius Rucker. We consider ourselves. That was another phrase that just came up.
It makes something.
Yep. So you got the gist of what we're going to be doing.
Okay.
It's already recording. The only thing you have to worry about is a little turnstile wheel right here at the top. It turns the volume up and down. Obviously, when I'm telling the stories before we get into things, and I'll give direction at each location on what we're going to be doing.
Okay.
So you'll obviously turn the volume up. I'll say Spirit Box is up. And then London.
Oh, you'll say it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so go ahead and turn
Keep
it down,
it down,
for now.
and then
I'll-
he'll
because
tell
there's
you.
stories here too,
Okay.
and it's already recording, so we'll be able to listen to that in the morning. So if something pops up, that's the great thing is that discovery the next day of going through the devices and seeing what's happening.
I get the Christmas
Cool.
tree?
You get the Christmas tree.
Wow.
So EMF meters, you guys have seen these on your ghost hunting shows, I'm sure. This measures
I think so.
electromagnetic fields. Okay, so they never explain what they actually do and how they work. So the first one is natural. It comes from the earth. It's just a normal field. That's why it's green and not doing anything. The second one is going to be from our cell phones and wiring and parking meters. It's going to make it go into a rhythm or a pulse. We don't want that either. We want this thing to start lighting up like a Christmas tree when we can't debunk what's around us to be able to determine where that's actually coming from. And I'm not going to get super excited with only one device going off, but this is usually our first indication that something is happening around us.
So if that's going off,
Turn
and
this
definitely
up.
turning that up, so you
Well-
can probably catch something, and then
That's when I know to review. So there'll be times where that might go off when I'm in the middle of a story, which is fine. So keep your spirit box down.
You're not a ghost.
Nope, I'm not a ghost. So obviously keep it down.
Not
I'll
a
say
ghost?
spirit box is up.
Well,
His elbow's not a ghost. So I actually have other. Obviously, my bag is full for a team of 10. So if I have to, pull things out to help debunk things that are on your camera, I have different, various thermometers in there and so forth and so on.
Okay.
I have a backup EMF in case London's battery drains, which has happened in the past. Granted, I do have spare batteries, but if I need something in a pinch. So
Gotcha.
I'm going to use a few things on my phone that are going to kind of enlighten everything for your tour. So this is a spirit box, but it gives us a word randomly in the center of the screen. It's going to save all of those words into a list, which is super cool because then I can just email it to myself and then put it into your data. So the last tour I did had 70 terms. I'm going to clear them out and start you guys off fresh because they already have theirs. 80% of this, pardon the language, but it's bullshit. It doesn't mean a damn thing. So it's the other 5 to 20% that's going to be relatable to what's going on our tour, the location where we're at, or the person I'm talking about, and I'll put those clues together, highlight it for you in your evidence, and then give you a verifiable link of where I got my data. So my gimmick is honesty, but I give you the whole list because at times you're going to look at the list and say, my dog's name is Radar, and it said dog Radar on the screen. It happens. You have all my contact info. I get people to email me back all the time of things that they find. So you also have to remember, so far we got about 5 hours worth of data that you guys are going to be getting back as far as media goes. I'm not going to review 5 hours worth of data. Okay,
Exactly.
so I'm going to go through it for about 2 hours with our hotspots that we're going to have and kind of give you some highlights and give you a collective of what I find.
Okay.
So the rest of it is completely up to you. I do this 6 nights a week, twice every night.
Yeah.
So I have enough to go through. Plus I'm in college, so I have papers to write. So the second spirit box I'm going to use is a reverse spirit box. So what is this? This is actually just a man and a woman saying random words. I don't know how long the recording or loop is, but they flip the audio backwards. So in the event we hear something in forward motion, an intelligent answer, we have something. And I'll play an EVP for you that I got from this, but I want you to get the gist of what this sounds like first. It's a complete gibberish, right?
Yeah.
Nothing makes sense. So let me turn that guy off for just a second. An EVP I caught, I was talking about a woman from England, and this is what came through. And you'll hear me repeat what I heard, because that's what I'll do for your audio. I always say what I heard, and I say rewind by 5 seconds. So that way you know to rewind by 5 seconds to check it out. Baked beans breakfast. Baked beans breakfast. Did you guys catch that?
Baked beans breakfast.
So here's what happened. Your spirit box said, I'll fix you. Baked beans breakfast was caught in real time. And then the digital word list gave me the word tea. It was all within 2.5 minutes of each other. I'll fix you baked beans breakfast and tea, which is a breakfast over in the UK. I was talking about a woman from England. So it wasn't the first time I've had the word beans and breakfast come up there, which is weird. So she obviously wants to feed me. I don't know what her deal is, but that's just kind of a thing
That's
that pops
awesome.
up over there. So we all got the gist of our tools for now. We start here for a reason. Any questions so far about the devices you're using?
No.
Okay, so we're, like I said, going to go into them a little bit further with the next location. But this place, this used to be called Big John's Tavern. Now, how long have you lived here?
A while. It's the one with the bras on the
Okay,
ceiling.
so everybody remembers the bras in the ceiling. Oh, we can talk COVID stuff. Yeah. So COVID stuff, just so you guys know, I did ask you to bring masks. They are issuing tickets at $100. I have epilepsy. It's very hard for me to keep this thing on for more than 10 minutes. If I have to get close to you based on your device, I will mask up. Just know that it won't be for very long.
Okay.
In the more popular areas, I'll usually say let's mask up, just so that other tour guides aren't trying to turn me in. They already don't like me. I take a lot of their business.
Oh, wow.
But your devices have been sanitized. I do that 3 times a day. Once before I use them in the morning and then before every tour.
Okay.
And then I also have extra masks. You guys seem to get pretty good masks, but I do have extra medicals if we need them, and hand sanitizer. So if you want to go play in the mud, I can clean you up a little bit.
Gotcha.
Fair enough?
That's right.
All right. So Big John's Tavern is haunted. Big John was a football player for the 1947 New York Giants. So that's a term that we could be listening for on our spirit box when we're listening in the morning. But he used to sit in the back of the bar. And he used to kind of nod off to the bartender if the cadets that came over from the Citadel, if they were of age or not. And one night, 2 guys come in, they're not of age, John knows them, tells the bartender, cut them off. So they get pissed, they leave, they come back the next night and try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. Big John sees what's happening, they get into a little rough and tumble, a couple of shots were fired, John gets shot in the neck, the guy that was trying to steal the cash register is beaten up on the floor. John goes to the bar and he tells the bartender, he says, "Get me a beer, get him an ambulance." The bullet that hit John in the neck ricocheted and it landed in the wall. I told you a story where nobody died. So it's not really a ghost that's haunting the place. It's the bullet hole that landed in the wall that allegedly is still here. Now, the people that sit in the front of the bar can get a little nauseous, dizzy, sick, just not feel well. So I bring this up on purpose because I don't know how paranormal activity is going to affect you. If you feel any of those things, I need to know. It's a big deal. It's not so much as to scare you as it is a health hazard. I know how it's going to affect me in London. We are already protected. I try to keep everything protected for the tour. Your devices go through a little ritual pretty much once a week just to make sure everything's working well. We keep things grounded and the negativity away. So, with that being said, please let me know. It is a very big deal. People have passed out from this tour before, and it wasn't due to heat. So, it was a nice cool night like this. It's just too much activity for me. So,
Wow.
you know we had a big earthquake in 1886. I'm sure you've taken that tour.
No.
So, allegedly, this is where the first death occurred from that earthquake. A piece of the mantling that's above your heads is also wrapped around the front of the building. And normally, this is the time where everybody backs up off the wall, which is pretty funny because you're already there. But a piece of it broke off, hit somebody in the head, and killed him. Paul, the previous owner here, this is Dark Shadows out here on East Bay Street. I don't have any verifiable evidence of where this is why the death occurred here, or anything based on those darkened shadows that he saw. It's just a nice story to tell and get our minds off of our own health, of me telling you you might get sick on the tour. So we are actually going to head up this way. If you guys don't have any other questions about Big John's.
Nope.
All right, let's go up this way. Let's see
All
what-
right. I gotta hold this on. I'm holding
Well,
this. Put it in the other one.
I can't turn it up and
Oh,
down.
okay. I'll just do this.
I'm not a lefty.
Well,
I'm
they
both
can-
righties, so.
Thank you, though.
Then you want to look for black, you said?
Yeah, like moving black. Moving black.
Or what was the other color?
Craziness. So her EMF is already going off, which is good.
Yeah, so I was like, there, right there, yeah.
So we're going to go into a little
No,
bit
it was
more
so
depth
great.
of what these devices
Right
do
there.
and what to look for. But we need to know where we are first.
Okay.
Before, yes, we just need to know that her EMF was going off a few minutes ago.
It was all the way
We're
up
getting,
right over
yeah,
there.
it was a little crazy. I do want to step us a little further away from the vehicle.
Okay.
This is a private lot and people get a little weird about us near their cars. So you're standing at the Red Barn lot where we keep the horses for the carriage rides. So if you smell horses, I don't, I'm immune to it at this point. But the horses are still in there. We don't have any lasers out tonight, so we don't have to worry about that. Yes, they use laser grids as well. So I won't do it on like holiday weekends because there's more cops out and things like that. But we don't have to worry about lasers. But this is the same Red Barn where they kept the horses that delivered milk to Charleston. So I'm kind of giving you some words and clues of things you could be listening for on your spirit box. Delivery, milk, there are draft horses inside there. So you might hear the word draft, animals, anything related to that type of, what did I get the word square, what else did I get? That drift door square.
It's a square door.
Where do you see a square door?
And then like that opening on
The front of it is a square, yeah, but we're not up there. And dizzy, look at that, I just told you guys.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I'm getting stuff already. Alright, so
Cool.
we're going to be very cautious in here. So let's talk about your thermal imaging camera for just a second. So really what you're looking for is those black things to move around. I want you to kind of shine it right there on the door.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you see? Is it mainly one color?
Yeah, like a light blue and then a little darker in the middle.
So most of your screen is pretty much one color. Watch what happens when I get into the screen. You see how everything kind of fluctuated and you want more?
Yeah.
You want to try to keep one of us in the screen at all times because our skin color is obviously going to be warmer than anything else out here based on the temperature that we have. The weather.
Okay.
So with that being said, I am going to show you a quick video of something I caught. I can't remember how long ago it was. Looks like in October. But this is our next location we're going to. This orange that you see across here is a wall. You should see 2 living people walking past the wall. Did you guys see those folks? Okay, so they're obviously in the right color zone, so that's why I tell you to keep somebody in the picture at all times. So we're going to fast forward. You're going to see 2 dead people going the opposite way. Once we get the camera up in focus, did we go past it? We may have. So there's going to be 2 dead people right above that wall there. Blackhead,
Oh, yeah.
blackhead. So that's what you're looking for. The reason why they called me up there was because they thought they saw a shadow. I went up there to go debunk the situation. Yeah, it's going a little nuts. She is a little close to the building, so I'm going to kind of put that in perspective. Even though those are brick walls, she's going to test me now. It's okay. My one true believer of the group is getting angry with me. That's funny. So that's kind of like what you're going to be doing. A nice slow sweeps with that camera. It's not like our cell phones today. It will pixelate and it will give false positives. So nice slow movements. Now there is a little, after our next location, it's kind of like a 4-block distance. So we're going to go up East Bay. So definitely just keep up with us. You don't need to be slow back there.
Okay.
Your spirit box. So this is not your TV shows where they go, "Hey Joey, why'd you kill Johnny?" You know, kind of mentality. Like we're not provoking anything. We also don't ask yes or no questions. Reason for that is because S and O are 2 of the most common sounds in our English language. So if you say somebody here and they say no, first that means somebody's here, because they're a smart ass. The second thing, if they say the word houses, you mistook it for yes. Do you see where I'm going? Because it's too miscommonly understood. So we're going to start off with a simple question of something you already know the answer to. We might go with the color of Ray's jacket. I usually give the example of what color is the barn. You can't deviate away from red and blue. Now, blue might mean a bunch of other things based on our next location, so I kind of want to stay away from the color blue. You can even go with your color. Because we're going to be talking about indigo in the next lot, which is the color blue. So we don't want to kind of misinterpret what's actually happening. So you're going to ask, "Hey, what color is so-and-so, the barn?" Okay, and let's say you don't get an answer for like 30 seconds. You ask the same question again. You kind of give them time to muster up that energy a little bit, so that way you can wait for that color red. Okay, now there's no other deviating away from red. It's not going to be maroon or somewhat purple or anything like that. If you don't get an answer after, say, 3 or 4 tries, try a new question. What's inside the barn? Now you got delivery and milk and draft, horse, you know, all of those other words that can clue us in. It's going to be easier for a spirit to kind of give us the words from the DJ and whatever's coming through the radio station based on what's inside.
Gotcha.
Like I said, the color red, it's a lot different, but we do get that answer quite a bit. It's proof that people are here. I do get Big John's teammates over here. I've had Tom Landry come through, which was, I didn't know who he was. I'm not a football guy, so I had to Google that shit. So again, I learn stuff every day, so I'm always learning. That costume. Must be talking about your get up. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, I'm a theater kid, but this ain't it.
Yeah. So I am going to let you guys kind of wander. Let's stay within the lot.
Okay.
Follow London with her EMF. I'm going to try to do a little bit of work with my spirit boxes on the audio, so you guys have extra pieces to listen to. We're going to probably spend like maybe 5-10 minutes in here just so you guys can get used to your devices. And again, London knows just as much about these gizmos as I do.
Okay.
Used
So,
to be mine.
yep.
So she's not messing with that yet.
Yeah, you could turn it up. So as you're walking around, go ahead and turn it up and just start listening. Just loud enough for the 2-3 of you to hear. We don't want to spook the horses with the static. So we're just going to kind of wander around, ask those random questions. London can help out with that. She's done it dozens of times. And I'm going to see, I got head stone, and I did get the word head before. So this is going to be an interesting what we capture in here. Again, this is completely random in this lot. I never know who I'm getting. So
Costume headstone.
costume headstone. But I did get the word head before.
Today?
Yeah. Did I get- yeah, it's right there. Head and then headstone. So there's no headstones nearby. So again, 80%. Just gotta let it fall where it needs to fall.
Put your head on the stone. Headstone.
Will you walk these folks around and show them how to use their gadget?
I like to be funny.
Yeah, I know. Well, help her ask those questions. Let her get comfortable with using the device.
Let me know if you hear anything on there.
So normally we'll try to put like someone that has this device and the spirit box together, like they can walk around. Like when it's like a really hot spot, like when we're going red. Yeah. Then they'll kind of start asking questions like where it's going really crazy. just went dead when you said that.
What'd you ask?
Do you live here? Are you just here visiting because we're on this walk?
That's a yes or
What'd you ask?
Does it live here?
What'd it say?
It's a yes or no question. So, oh no, that wasn't it. I don't remember.
Babe.
Where are you from?
Who are we asking questions
Do
to?
you visit here often?
no. Yes or no question.
I'm running out of questions.
I know.
Think of questions.
Who are we asking questions to? Though?
Whoever.
Oh. Did you already ask?
What color is London's mask?
Do you like food?
That's a yes or no. Oh yeah, no, yeah, that's a yes. You got to ask him what kind of food do you like? It's not answering us. It's a good. It doesn't like food.
Do you like
What
to?
is-
Do you like to scare people?
Yes or no question.
What is in the bar?
Isn't that a yes or no?
Okay,
What?
no,
can't
no,
do
yes.
yes-
You
yes
can't
or
use
no
the yes or no.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
What is in the barn?
I got you.
Where are you from?
What kind of food does the horse eat? What does the horse drink? What do you like about this place?
What is your name?
I guess one of the horses got an attitude in there.
I want to get a jersey number. Like, so I'll ask, like, hey, give me the jersey number. It's easier to find out about, who you played for and, what
Mhm.
teams you played for and if you were with Big John and so forth and so on. And it happens all the time. So the only thing I got was the word fun, and I heard the word fun at the same time. So that's kind of weird. That normally doesn't happen.
Mhm.
So, but no phrases at all that were you able to catch anything.
Did you catch anything?
No,
on it?
a song, no.
Okay. Even sometimes song lyrics will say what they need to say. So if it's the word love and they're singing it, we were meant to hear the word love.
Mhm.
So again, it's all about whatever they can find to help. They're not going to give us like, hey, my name's Johnny. I played for the New York Giants. It's not going to be a full sentence. It's going to be clues and phrases.
Yeah.
And that's the weird thing about the TV shows. They all attract us because they give us the
Hey,
highlights.
Billy, did you lose my number?
Well, if you heard "Lose My Number,"
Yeah.
I was asking about a number.
Oh, yeah, it says lose my number. It's hey, the song, Hey Billy, did you lose my number?
So I was
Yeah.
asking about a number. It may have been. I don't know what your EMF was looking like to see how strong it was, but
I still think he's the good.
Right.
I get people try to say that I have stuff on me to make the devices go on. I'm like, really? I can control the DJs and the radio stations.
Yes.
Come on. You guys ready to go learn some real history now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Dutch, you got the gist. Yeah, that's where you should be.
I know. I kept asking yes or no.
I did at first.
It's really hard not to, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
I guess as an English guy, like my thing, it's always words for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have to, literally look at every single word that I type. Make sure it fits.
I heard I should have.
Let me see.
Kind of seeing where that guy's going.
Hmm?
So that's the only way in and out. So let's move you guys in a little bit further. So So this is home to Eliza and Charles Pinckney. So their mansion would have been in the front, and Eliza's garden would have been lined up with that tree over there all the way across, and we're standing where the slave quarters would have been. So who the heck were Eliza and Charles Pinckney? They had a son named Charles, they had a nephew named Charles, and they were signers of our Constitution. Last night we actually had a ton of stuff come up with this location. If I were to have a grand finale, then this would probably be it.
Oh, wow.
Because it's that active all the time. A couple times it's let me down, not much, but a couple of times. It kind of tells me, that the evidence is real and true. So, I'm not a big person on politics, so I'm going to move away from the constitutional guys. So, let's talk about Eliza for a second. Eliza, Baked Beans Breakfast, by the way, this is where this occurred. Also where the video was. So again, you can see how much evidence comes out of here. But Eliza married Charles at a young age, and you're going to hopefully find out tonight how old she was, because that'll be a question you can ask. So her dad thought he was dying, and he lived in England, and he wanted all of his kids home, and she didn't want to go. So she married Charles and became a citizen and stayed here. So with that being said, Dad got better, and he started sending gifts over from England, just like he always did. A very prominent family over there, the Pinckneys. So one of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. So you live here, you've probably seen indigo a few times, I'm sure, driving around town. So indigo is a plant that makes blue dye. That's why I said we want to stay away from his jacket color over there, because I didn't want blue to be influenced for this. So with that being said, we still use it, and it's actually in his genes, because that's what we use it for today. So if you have Disney Plus, Jeff Goldblum actually did an episode on how to make denim, and it's all about using that indigo. So it's pretty cool stuff. Now, that was a huge cash crop for us. She actually had to move it over to Mount Pleasant at Snee Farm, and our rice plantations were going downhill. We needed something else. So she used her contacts overseas with Dad and was able to sell this as an overseas crop, which is basically what saved Charleston and the colonies during that time. We are talking about the colonial period, and there was no such thing as a businesswoman. So Eliza is a pretty prominent lady for us here in Charleston, and not many people talk about her on tours. You can find a lot of stuff at Charles Pinckney at the site over there. I think it's off of Long Point. There's a site over there that's dedicated to his life and the things that they found at their house over there. But not a whole lot of people talk about Eliza herself. So I like to show off this location, not to mention it's active as hell. So we're going to find a lot of stuff. There's a lot of weird things that you can ask about Eliza. And London, again, will help you with remembering some of those questions. So again, ask how old she was when she got married. The number is significant because it's also her birthday. So it would be interesting to see if it comes up again. We had it come up again last night, which was super awesome. So it's a pretty significant number. You can ask anything about the mansion, like what happened to it, why is it not here? You can ask anything about Eliza's death. So with that being said, how old she was when she died, what did she die from, where is she buried, where did she die, and which U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. We've had that answer come up multiple times, which is always one of the best EVPs we get. So again, if you can find that out, that would be amazing, and we'll have it on recording, so that way I can look it up and snip it out again for another significant piece of evidence, because it's the same answer. It doesn't change.
Who's the president of what?
Who was the pallbearer? Who was the president that was her pallbearer at her funeral?
So basically, which president carried her to her grave? And that just shows you how important she was, that it was a U.S. president. So, let's see, what else can you ask? What did I miss? The kids. So, only ask about the daughter. That's it. The only reason why, because there was only one daughter out of 4 children, but there's some tragedies that happened with the sons that we stay away from because it stops all activity. So you will stop all activity for the rest of the night. I don't know why, but it's happened in the past.
And what happened to the house?
Yeah, I said that. So I think that about covers it. That's a lot of questions, and London can help you remember what they are. She's going to pal around with you guys again, so I can get more like I was doing over there, and that way you guys will have more audio with the reverse spirit box as well.
So asking what happened to her other children stops.
Yeah. Now, if they want to come through, they will, but I let it be. If they come through, they come through, and they have in the past. But I stick to the daughter. You're just going to try to find out what the daughter's name was. That's it. There's a lot of things that happened with the other sons, one of them being very tragic, and once that's brought up, everything's done. We can pretty much call it a night because we're not going to have much more. It'll be a really deep digging through and seeing what happened. So, same thing around here. Be mindful, we do get some homeless folks in here. They've been doing a really good job of keeping them out these past few scraping back in from time to time. They like to hang around the gate. I don't know what this guy with the phone up here is doing, so just be mindful of where you're pointing that camera. People get funny about that, even though they can't. If I was a car thief, that would be my first tool, because you could tell how long the cars have been here based on the heat signature.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
we want to just not look like we're filming his vehicle if it's in here.
Okay.
Plus, he might be a little weird about being on the camera too.
Okay.
So if you guys just want to steer clear of him, the homeless guys will hang out by the gate or by the dumpster. So just gotta be mindful of that. You'll be able to see them on a thermal imaging camera, so
Yeah.
obviously be warmer than anything else. So if you see a big lump of warm blankets, that's probably some
man.
dude sleeping over there.
We heard one story
Yeah, I see
earlier.
something that's been there prominent.
So that is light in
Right.
color, so
Right.
that means it's gonna be warm. So that is probably
The other car. Okay.
yeah. So blue and black are the cold ones. Orange. So it goes white, hot, black, cold. So white and yellow are your hottest areas. So if something shows up white, it's obviously going to be probably a 20 to 25 degree difference than whatever's blue on your screen.
Yeah.
So it's based on the differences of what's on the screen.
That's it.
Doorway again.
A door and
Yeah.
square.
See the engine of the
It's
other
crazy.
car, the second car.
So you should be able to see white lines on there as well, because the camera doesn't see in 3D the way we do. So it gives you those white outlines based on the heat signatures from the item to item, where it sees like a break and where there's a change in temperature. So it'll give you those white outlines. So it's a very interesting tool. So I don't have a got a woman, female, I'll take it. I don't get a ton of evidence from there. But it's another piece of audio. So when we're asking questions on our spirit boxes, the answer can go anywhere. I have 2 spirit boxes running. You have 1. That's 3. He has audio on his camera, and I'm running audio. So we literally have 5 points of reference of where that answer can go. A lot of times I'll ask a question that you guys don't know that I asked. It might be, hey, what color is Ray's jacket? And you're going to say, it just said blue. And it's going to be the evidence that I asked the question, you got the answer 50 yards away, and you had no idea what I was asking. It happens all the time. So I run tests like that constantly. Like I have questions in my head that I'll never tell you guys until after we leave the location. Like, hey, I was asking about so-and-so. I'm never going to lie to you because you can catch me anyway if I was. So you have the recording of what I'm doing away from you guys. So again, my gimmick is truth and honesty. So I'm never going to hide anything. And if something's a stretch, I'll tell you it's a stretch. Like, hey, it said purple. Like, it's a stretch, but we'll take it. So Avery, we had an
The
8
girl
last night.
I want to check up on that.
I know, right?
Oh.
So this a lot of times will give me clues either to the tour that I just had, either the night before, or at 7 o'clock when I'm on a 9 o'clock, or what's going to happen on the 9 o'clock. It happens all the time. So my groups, I might even say if something ties into it, I'll say make sure you check out the 9 o'clock evidence too. It ties in. So that way, because it's the same night. So that way you guys can have a little bit fuller realism of what's going on throughout this specific night. Now we're 1 night away from a full moon as well, so we're at 98% of a full moon. So again, the activity doesn't always happen on a full moon, it's more of a new moon. It's just a beautiful full moon, so everybody takes that as a misnomer of like, hey, that's when the most paranormal activity happens. My activity always comes on a new moon. That's when I get the most. But I'm going to let you guys wander. Again, just be kind of mindful of, looks like he's kind of angry up there on the phone. Cave.
Alright.
Cave. So I'm going to actually hang out. Maybe I'll move forward. That way you guys can kind of hang out about here and kind of see what you get out of the spirit box. How about that?
Okay.
Keep everybody safe except for me.
What's your name again?
I'm trying to.
How did you die? What happened to your daughter? Did you have a good life?
Yes or no question.
Who? The pallbearer thing. The president.
Who was the president that carried you to your grave?
Whoa.
Something about Miss All in 2020. Who was your husband? What tragedy happened?
What color is your hair?
I'll go to party life. That's what this music sounds like.
Do you play any instruments?
Yes. Did you play instruments?
What kind of instrument?
What kind of instrument did you play?
Any more questions you're thinking about?
What happens to the house?
What happened to
What
what?
happened to your house? How did you die? Why do you still come to this parking lot that used to be your home?
How long did you live here?
Did you speak other languages?
That's yes or no.
Oh, what other languages did you speak? That's like because this thing started talking other languages. Something about reggae.
Speak reggae.
Why did the president of African Greece do that?
How old was she when she passed, though?
How old were you when you passed?
For real, though. Do you know? No.
Yeah.
How old?
I'm technically not allowed to say because I keep giving away answers and they keep saying, don't do that.
Okay. I'm trying to come up with more questions.
What was your daughter's name?
What did that say?
So this is saying all kinds of stuff. I don't know. It said more happy. I heard that.
I don't think that's the right answer.
What is the
How did she die?
I think I asked that one. How did you die?
Okay.
I think I asked that one earlier.
What made you come to Charleston?
What would you like to share with other people that nobody has asked you?
How are we doing on that thing? Hearing hearing anything?
How many other people are here with us?
I'm getting all kinds of stuff, and I heard your
Hey.
name come through pretty loud and clear.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one?
Ray?
Wow.
Well, I heard Doug, she heard doctor.
Okay.
And then there was a couple other words I forgot what we said they were.
So I got your name. I also got the word date came up, and yesterday they gave me a very specific date about our Constitution. I got the number 4 as a digit, and then 2 words later the word July came up. So I had July 4th, which is when the Constitution was signed.
Yeah.
So that was pretty prominent for us there. And I was trying to get them to say the extra date again.
Yeah.
I didn't get anything about the mansion. I did get an official, the word official come up, and I'm like, okay, who is official? Maybe it was your father you want to tell me about. And I got the name George, and then I said, okay, what did I forget what I asked, but the word admiration was said. So pretty clear, like admiration. It was kind of like, all right, people did admire him. He was a pretty prominent. Look, I got ashes. There's what happened to our mansion. So it did catch fire, just so you guys know, in that corner up there on the second story floor. So I'll take that as pretty prominent, because I did just ask what happened to the mansion a few minutes ago. The light's not blinking.
What caused the fire?
It was the Great Fire of 1861.
Oh.
So, yep.
Hmm.
I don't think I know what caused that fire.
Hmm.
But we're getting answers.
What caused the fire? That's a good question.
Eliza, can you tell us what caused the fire? Now, this would have been after their time. She was already dead. So, you are going crazy on that.
Eliza, is there any other people here with us besides you? If there is, who are they?
Wow, it's just kind of humming. Eliza, what else do you want to tell us before I move this on? I was getting all kinds of words when I was separated. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and call it on this location. We're going to walk up. Oh, let me give you the answers real quick. So it was Eliza. I didn't tell you guys. Oh, it was the maiden names. I forgot. So a lot of times the maiden name will come up because Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles. So she goes by her maiden name, which is Eliza Lucas Pinckney. So we can usually get the name Lucas. We've had it several times. The first wife did the same thing. Her name was Eliza Lamb Pinckney. Lamb is in L-A-M-B. So we know that the mansion burned down. Eliza died at the age of 70 from breast cancer in Philadelphia, and that's also where she's buried. So she's not even buried here, and she's coming down to give us some answers. So that kind of tells you, like, I don't have questions about the other realms, so that's why I do this, to see how much evidence I can catch. It was George Washington that was the pallbearer at her funeral. So we've gotten Washington, we've gotten George, we've gotten George Washington as EVPs. So, and amazingly, George Washington comes up, and that's how we found out about it. I was like, what the hell does that mean? It would have been in the same time period of when she lived. So I, of course, did some research and found out he was a pallbearer. Again, I learn stuff every day. So I've been doing this tour for over a year and a half and didn't know that fact. So it's kind of, okay, I'll take it.
Cool.
I'm trying to think, what else did I have you guys ask? I think that was the daughter's name was Harriet. So again, those are the things that I'll be listening for in the morning and see if any other clues come up. But I'm definitely going to take ashes as an answer to what happened. And then I got the word date and an end. I heard your name right after that. So this is kind of a date for you guys. But I took it as tell me the date that you told me yesterday, which would have been July 4th. So again, that was pretty like, oh my God. But we also got the term black cargo, which slaves back then would have been considered cargo. So it was kind of a weird night for that second tour, and it was a mother with her 2 daughters. So it was a small group like this too. So we'll see what comes out of your spirit box in the morning and what I can hear versus what you guys may have missed.
I asked her some other questions. I asked her like how her daughter died and stuff like that.
Okay.
So.
I don't think I know that answer. I'd have to research it and see what happens and see if it's,
Yeah.
So if I actually find out it was like pneumonia or tuberculosis or something, I can definitely look that up and listen to the spirit box further. I like to go, when I do my own investigations, I like to go in blind. I don't want to know anything. I want to learn while I'm at these museums and haunted places and whatever. And then I look up all the research later. So when I'm doing my own investigations, just like you guys going to museums, it's the same principle. That thing stays on mute in my pocket. I can listen to it later. I got this stuff running on my hip. I got the EMF in my pocket to check from time to time. And then the camera is usually in a cargo pocket with the camera just sticking out, so I at least get a video where I'm walking. It's kind of weird and shuffled, but I know what I'm looking for. So again, I don't review, I guess, how do I put this? When I'm going through the spirit box for my own investigation, I write down every single thing I hear, and it takes me hours, because I could be in a museum for 2 hours, and I got to keep stopping it to write stuff down. Then I do the research. I just did the Flight 93 Memorial in Pennsylvania, and did exactly what I told you, and I recorded it for 2 hours. It took me probably 6 to 8 hours just to go through it all, just on the spirit box alone, and then I did all the research later to see what matched up. So that's how I do my own investigations. With you guys not doing this as your occupation, I like to give you the data first. So it is almost a suggestive thought, but at least I gave you questions of things you don't know the answers to.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
that kind of helps. And I got the word but. So anyway, we are going to walk
That
up.
was me.
It's only 1 T.
Oh, 1 T.
1 T. So we are going to walk up East Bay Street, about 4 blocks to go up to Lodge Alley. So we're going to go past the market where you guys came from. Where did you guys park, by the way?
The parking garage by Atomic Condoms.
Perfect, because we end at the Powder Magazine. So here's what I'll tell you. We used to end at the Wagner building, but we apparently, I don't want to say, we were passing through an area quietly, that I'm allowed to pass through quietly, and I angered a neighbor. So I had to switch things up a little bit, and it's going to be like, you guys are still my guinea pigs, because I'm still getting the story right for the Powder Magazine and the pirate there, because I'm not big on pirates. So I did some research today and kind of sharpened up the story a little bit to see if we can actually capture it. But yeah, it's perfect, because we ended the Powder Magazine, which is really right across the street.
Oh, okay.
So
I knew that.
yeah, see, he's on it. I texted him and said, hey, plan to be here, but you still would have been relatively close. But that's Cumberland Street that you guys are probably parked by, I'm sure, because it's right by the market. I got straight and lost. That's pretty weird. But anyway, it's definitely going to be a masked up area, because it's Saturday night, so I'm going to have my mask on too unless I'm smoking. Is that bothering you guys? I think my smoke went in your guys' way a few times. I was vaping. Okay.
No.
So it smells like blueberries, so most people don't care, but I like to at least ask.
Okay.
But anyway, that's kind of my out of the thing. But when you're listening to your spirit box along the way, listen for names. So unless of course we're all chatting, then just it's still recording anyway. I'll explain the name thing when we get there. London's EMF's going to go crazy because of the parking meters. We're not going to get excited because it's the parking meters making it go off. The electrical lines for those are underneath the sidewalk, so they're strong enough to give off a reading.
Okay.
So let's go take a hike up to Lodge Alley and show you guys what's going on up there.
And I'll stay in the back and try to capture something on here. Turn it up, so. I'm gonna keep on turning. Roll it. Roll it.
Is this what you guys signed up for?
Huh?
Is this what you guys signed up for?
Oh yeah.
Good.
I like it. It's awesome.
So I get people on this. I don't even call it a tour. It's more of a escape room type thing. Because it's more interactive.
Yeah.
But they have no clue what they're getting themselves into. They expected, stories on a street corner, and that's not what they did.
No. I was telling some people at work that did you know there was an interactive ghost hunting tour downtown? They're like, no.
Where do you work at?
North Charleston Fire.
Okay.
And they're like, no. And I'm like, yeah.
Again, I'm still relatively the new guy in town because these other guys have been doing this for 15, 20, 30 years. And
Yeah.
I've been doing it for a year and a half.
Yeah.
But I've been doing this type of investigation on my own for almost a decade. So,
Hmm.
kind of,
Gotcha.
I just got the word jealous.
I'll take it. London is jealous.
We all did what we could do the song.
Rolling. Rolling.
And then all went away. It was, we all did what we could do.
Drugs.
How did you find me? Right?
Trying to remember.
Researching stuff on to do.
Yeah, I literally was just researching stuff to do downtown this weekend, and it was through Google.
Okay, that's a good sign. Means I did my job.
And
right?
I just saw interactive ghost tours, and I know she hasn't been on a ghost tour, so I was like, interactive, let's do it.
Yes, it is.
Smooth driving pays off.
Do you live in Florida?
Yeah.
How does that work out?
Well, when we were 14, we dated when we were 14. And we
Okay.
both lived in Florida. And then we got divorced and we reconnected like 29 years later.
On Facebook.
Yeah, it was like, what's wrong with you? Is everything okay? And then we just met up and
You ever been to Charleston? So I took her on a private carriage ride. Yeah.
Probably the most romantic thing you can do here.
that, and then took me on a boat. His friend has the boat that goes and showed me like rainbow.
Adventure Harbor tours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we went on a boat ride, and then that was like 4 years ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we just had that before we came.
Yeah? I heard it's
Oh
phenomenal.
my lord.
Phenomenal. Wow.
I've heard good things about it. I don't eat out.
Yeah.
I told you I drive Uber Eats. I could tell you where to go. I don't eat out. And I mainly stay up in Somerville when I'm doing that. I
Yeah.
don't like to come down here. I don't want to have to. How do I put this? This is my happy place. If I have to drive Uber, that's not so happy.
High Cotton is a restaurant I want to take you, but it's super expensive. Right here.
What kind of food is it?
I don't know. It's just good food. Is there-
Yeah, these are the $50 to $75 a plate.
That's what he
yeah.
was saying. It's super expensive.
I wanted to take her to Hall's Chop House, but whew, you're not getting out of there for like $300-400. Magnolias is another.
What was the one back there you just said? Hi.
High Cotton.
Did you hear any names down here or along the way? I know we were chatting.
She's just back here singing.
trailer that was buried on Indian ground. And the Indians were gonna
What state was that in?
North Carolina. And then across from that by the river was Blackbird's house.
Oh.
And it was already underground. And so we used to go in there and play and stuff. But my grandma's house in North Carolina was a very old house, 3 stories. And so it was like a lot of, I guess, like rumors and different things like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know who used to live in this house, but in one of the living room areas, the fireplace is where my mom went in there one time. She seen people dancing and stuff. Well, I didn't believe her at first, and then I was like, I walked around, what's happening? Like, those people were dancing around here, and then my ex and I, and my son, were living, we went to stay up there after I, got older. And I kept hearing baby crying. And I kept checking on my son, and my son was sleeping.
Yeah.
And so the baby crying. And we both heard the baby crying, and we both got to check on my son. And we're like, it's not my son, and we look over, and it's in the clinic. There was a baby crying, and we weren't the only ones. Like, every family member that's ever went there, and they'll ask us, did you guys hear the baby crying?
Yeah, that's when you gotta do the deep dive research to find out what happened. Alright, so let's go ahead and cut that off. This is technically a quiet area, so we're gonna be kind of brief here. This is Lodge Alley Inn, so there's signs over that say quiet area, occupied guest rooms everywhere. So this is one of the oldest streets in Charleston. So we are now inside the Charlestown walls, and I don't know, well, the peninsula back then wouldn't have been, it was much skinnier than it is now. All the stuff we have on the edges is man-made stuff. So the buildings you see down there wouldn't have been there. So the smell of low tide would have probably come through here quite a bit. The reason why I asked for names is because people used to live here. I have the list of residents of every person that's ever lived here. The names that show up often are Benjamin and John. Now granted, there are 4 Johns that have lived here, but there was a Benjamin and John that both lived here in 1801. So there's 2 residents. There was only 4 people total. So I don't call that coincidence. I call it, obviously, and I've gotten it several times. So that's why I say listen for names. I don't tell you what the names are. So we turn around and say, hey, I heard the name Ben. Okay, that makes sense. Because we're walking around, this is artist. But it does have their occupations as well. So those lower class people, they were able to basically put an official stamp on that because they did an archaeological dig in between the bricks. So they did find their tools, their silverware, some of their clothing, and that's how they were able to classify them as lower class people, which makes sense with the low tide smell that would have come through. So the Masons also used to meet down here. And granted, I used to tell stories of when I used to work with a psychic down there until I learned a little bit more history. I was kind of like, I started getting all this stuff that was happening. I was getting shadows on the camera that didn't make any sense. I have a digital camera that will go to a guest, and I was getting stuff there that didn't make any sense. I always have a green orb down here, always. I even have a video of it moving around mid-air and then wisping away into the air. Craziness. It's always a green orb.
And you go
orbs are
back over
colors.
this way.
Always have colors to them, and they always mean something. So I did a study on that as well. The name Foster. Foster. Can you go to the Lodge Alley residence and look up the last name Foster for me? So again, I don't know everything. I gotta keep everything going, and she knows how to get to that document. And it's page 18, I think we determined, right, on there, on the mobile one. So again, some of the stuff we never know is going to come up. It just depends. So we're going to walk through here slowly, and we're going to be in a neighborhood. We're going to cut through there pretty quickly. We're going to go directly across the street to another alley. But I like to tell the story outside of Philadelphia Alley. So you've probably heard the story of
I've
the
heard
doctor
a couple.
before.
Yeah.
But the cool
It's
thing
been a
is
while.
you have devices now. So I'll tell the story because obviously Tina doesn't know it. And then I'll show you which devices we're going to be using while we're in there. And it'll probably be brief because it's Saturday, which means it's going to be cluttered with other tours. That's why I tell the story outside. No, Foster?
No, but there is a Philson.
Harriet.
Right.
That
Well,
was Eliza's daughter.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So obviously had needed time to answer that question. So,
Yeah.
but we're still relatively close. I mean, we're only, 0.2 miles away from there. So I'll still take it. Like that's different. It's not a name that you hear all the time. So the fact that it came through is good stuff. It might even be a Harriet that lived here. I'll have to look it through and see what happens. But yeah, definitely get some film as we're going through here. Keep your spirit box at an audible level to you only if you want to listen for anything. This is not a loud area, and it's hard when I have a larger group because they want to investigate because of, I'm like, guys, it's a hotel right here. Every hotel down here, just so you know, has a claiming of a ghost. none of them will give me a free room. So I can't verify any of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be knocking on doors again in January now that I'm a little bit more established down here, because I do like most of the museums and stuff now. But I
Yeah.
want rooms. I want to be able to spend just 4 or 5 hours in the middle of the day. I don't care, day or night. Ghosts don't care, by the way. If
Exactly.
you're doing this stuff on your own, they don't care. Like when we do our museums and other places we go to, it's in the middle of the day.
Have you ever heard of Casadega?
I've heard of it. I don't know what
Hotel
it is.
Casadega. You should look it up. It's apparently there's ghosts that live in there, and they come out at certain times, and you can see them in the windows. And it's a very it's a little town, and it's full of nothing that's psychics. Like there's nobody else
Yeah.
but psychics that live in.
Florida.
It's in Florida.
Florida.
And Lake Helen and Deltona both did not want nothing to do with this little town because of all the psychics that lived there.
Yeah.
So it ended up with its own little name, Casadega. It's on Travel Channel and everything.
Really?
Yes.
I have to
So-
definitely dive into that. That
Mhm.
sounds very
so
interesting.
I go there quite a bit to kind of, it's just very freaky.
And I
Like,
really need to
different-
keep a pretty tallied list. You can remember, I'd see people from all over. You know, I've had international people want to take this tour because they don't even have stuff like this over there in Europe. So everybody has somewhere for me to go, always. So I really need to start writing this stuff down so I have a. But at least I have it on the audio, so now I can. Because that one sounds super interesting with all
You
the
would
psychics.
definitely, yeah. It's probably like a 5-hour drive for you, but I mean, if you ever went down there, you would probably see a lot as well. And there's a lot of history to it. There's also a lot of, I think there's a lot of psychic. There's a lot of things that happen. It's very, I don't know. It's very people go there just to.
There's a city in New York like that, like
Yeah.
upstate, because we're originally from Ohio. So psychics in Ohio are all over the place too. They're not as condensed in one area. They're just scattered about. But there's a town up in New York. It's just like, what's the name of that town? Do you remember?
Huh?
The town where Grandma goes all the time.
Huh?
Is that the one where like there's a town where you can if you're down by your car, someone's gonna like literally stop your car. You know, I've heard that. I don't know if it's
You just chock full of info for me. You need to chat more.
my daughter is extremely and like I hear all this stuff. She's very into that. She does the car the ghost, and apparently they take photos and they see little orbs and things like that.
I have 4 investigations sitting on my desk right now ready for the podcast, but I don't have time to go through it because I'm so busy with you guys. So, I mean, I do 2 tours a night. I start working on your data. I'm done by noon. That's when I'm going to start taking care of the dogs and get a shower and start the rest of my day, work on homework, and then I leave the house at 6 o'clock to come back. So
Dang.
I've been so busy with tours. I have 4 investigations just sitting there. I haven't even touched them.
You definitely hit on a little niche here in Charleston, I guess, with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said you've only been doing it for a year and a half, right?
Yeah, and I'm busy.
Yeah.
In the month of October, because I started in September of 2019 doing this. And that October, I was sitting at home on Halloween. Like, nobody was booking because nobody knew me, nobody was leaving reviews. So we really started pushing on getting some reviews, get those 5 stars in. And with that being said, they started pouring in once we started pushing on it. And now, like the month of October, I was 80% full. Like you couldn't, I was pushing people away because I don't go past 10. So that's actually getting out of the gateway.
Whoa. That was weird.
What?
You get
Something like showed up at that right there and just walked, like it came in and then just went like black.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, right there.
Is it still running? Is it still recording?
Yeah,
I think so. I mean, yeah, isn't it?
yeah.
I have to check that out.
I don't know. Because she was there and I saw it come in and then just jet out.
Okay. Well, let's move over to the corner because they're still working. This car is still here. I don't like it disturbed.
I thought I heard poor Granny.
Poor Granny.
Yeah.
So this is the story of, well, let me tell you what this place is more. So I like to tell the story up here. Let's go ahead and put that off for a second. So obviously you guys hear another tour. We're gonna go in here a little bit, but I'm really, because this is where I got screamed at the night before Thanksgiving. Like this guy come out just screaming at me. It is residential at the end. Technically, I'm allowed to pass through quietly. I'm
Yeah.
not about to piss this guy off again, so we're gonna just kind of hang out right here, kind of listen in for a second, and then we're gonna go up to our next locations. But the story here is that this is Philadelphia Alley now. We had to rename it after dueling became illegal and stupid, because this used to be Duelers Alley. So before that, it was Cow Alley. This is where we kept the livestock for Charlestown. So again, it just kind of dates all of that for you. We're talking 1600s. So we all tell the same story about the duel that happened with the doctor. So his name was Joseph Brown Ladd. He moved down here from Rhode Island. He was supposed to get married to his fiancée Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents, and the attorney that handled that money said, "No, you're not getting married. Send the doctor away." So he decides he's going to come down to Charleston, and he's going to start his practice here. So the coachman that brings him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. Not a very good start. So somebody walking by named Ralph Isaacs, he has the same initials as Rhode Island, so RI usually pops up on our spirit boxes sometime throughout the month. So he sees what's happening and he says, "You don't want to stay here, let me take you somewhere else." So he takes him to 59 Church Street. It's about 1.5 miles from here. So he rents a room upstairs, all's going well, the doctor's practice starts to take off, he's making his own money. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor because he's whistling all the time because Amanda's moving down soon. He's proving his point that he's not just after her money. So again, him and Ralph doing pretty well as friends, but the doctor's much higher in society now. They used to go see plays together, but the doctor has better seats because he makes more money. He's got better status. So they talk about the plays on the way home. Ralph understands, different part of society. So the doctor loves the new actress one night after they go see Richard III. Ralph does not like the new actress. They start arguing. It turns into an insult party on the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. To get very pissed off at each other. Ralph is from here. He's an attorney, which means he has ties to the newspaper. So he calls the newspaper up and puts an ad in the paper about what a disgrace the doctor is to the city of Charleston. He's not from here. He takes all of our money, yada, yada, yada. The doctor rebuttals with, "What a duel was that? Settle this." Now, it's 2020. When we think of a duel, what's going to happen?
Someone's gonna die.
That's what we think. But that's usually about 25% of the time only. So normally the shot would be either put into the air or into the ground. It's an act of courage and bravery that you're willing to take a bullet for whatever the hell you were fighting over. So there was a lot of rules to it, but if somebody shot into the ground, duel is over. So here's what happened with the doctor and Ralph. They come down, they take their 20 paces, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He didn't want to kill his friend. He was just willing to make a point and willing to forgive, and willing to take a bullet. And he did, the kneecap from Ralph. Ralph shot him in the knee. He also wanted to prove his point, but he didn't want to kill his friend either. So instead of going through, I didn't tell you guys about the gate. So there's a gate right up there to the left when we go through here. Where when there was a duel, there was a death that occurred, they would pick up the body, go through the doorway, through the courtyard, over to St. Philip's, drop the body, and then go celebrate the winner. Well, that didn't happen because the doctor didn't die. So his friends pick him up and they carry him home instead. So he dies 10 days later. So the moral of the story is, don't get engaged to Amanda, you're going to die. So they say as you're in here, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. So this is a point where you're going to keep your spirit box low, not mute, because we're going to be listening to the regular audio. So on your drive home or your flight, however you're going to go, you're going to be listening to this very carefully. Turn the volume up. So that way it's going to be a very faint whistle. And again, if it's there, I've only caught 2 in the 1.5 years that I've been doing this, because we do get a lot of hecklers. You know, they're going to give us the big fake one. It's going to be melodic in the background. That's what I've caught. I've even had whistling show up on the spirit box before. Almost like actually that was the other thing that showed up last night. I actually had like a sportsman whistle, like a coach whistle, come through while I was in this location. So I was like, I'll take that. It's a whistle. We're talking about the Whistling Doctor. So, but we are going to go in here. We're going to kind of check things out so you guys get the feel of it. If you're a picture taker, this is the most beautiful place in Charleston. If it's empty going that way, take as many pictures as you like. It's gorgeous. So I just
Even at night?
Even at night, you can see. So
Okay.
well, let me get you a creepy sound effect for your. Oh, it's wet in the rain. It didn't do it. I love this place.
Wow.
So the cemetery is actually on the other side of this building right here, and we're going to go around to the front of it. Granted, there's not going to be another giant tour there. Again, I won't do that for 9 tours. I won't go up to 20. That's ridiculous. 10 people, you guys get a personalized tour. Everybody has a tool and a device, and everybody's involved. And even the attention I'm giving you guys right now, I do that to the entire group of 10. It's just, that's how I got my reviews up so quick. So it's more personalized, and you guys don't feel like you're hearing a script. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have these stories memorized, but women will tell you they're not in the same order. They don't say the exact same lines every time. Sorry, he's trying to get going. But that gate that I was telling you guys about.
Mhm.
So we're actually going to go up and around to the other side, and hopefully the cemetery is cleared because there's a story up there too. So this is the gate wasn't here, but the doorway was. Like this is the original wall. So, and in case you didn't know, if you guys are going to be going more around town, we do have sun-dried bricks from slave kids at the end of this alley. I can't take you down there because that's where the guy was screaming at me.
What was he screaming at you for?
Because his house is right there.
Oh.
His address is Philadelphia Alley. Tour guides are not allowed in residential areas. So we have kind of our limits. Well, again, with me being off the cuff and doing this on my own, I'm learning as I go.
Yeah.
So again, a year and a half, I have no problems. This guy moves in at the giant mansion at the corner and he wants to come out screaming. So my guest actually came in and stood up for me and calling him all kinds of things and yada yada yada. So,
Jesus.
yeah, it was a brawl. So
Wow.
and I kept it in the
Isn't that
audio
pretty,
too,
eh?
so I had the whole thing recorded. Yeah,
Oh.
St. Philip's, yeah.
And someone was about to go down.
Yeah, I kept walking. Like I just let the guy know what my name was, what company, because I do have a silent partner, and I'm breaking away from him in January. But he said, "Who do you work for?" I was like, "Cavalier Tours. My name's Nick. I need to see your ID." No, you don't.
No.
Have a nice night. I'm allowed to pass through. We
Yeah.
weren't being disruptive until you came outside.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, this is the tail end of the tour. I had to change everything up on. Normally, we would go that way and go down to the Wagner Pool. Which is fine, because it's going to take you guys back to your car.
There you
So
go.
it actually worked out perfect.
My hand's cold.
Yeah. Put them in your pockets, do it.
I really need to get a branded jacket. Like I wear my shirts every night.
Mhm.
You know, and I was like, man, I don't hate covering. I paid for these shirts for a reason.
Zip it up, man.
No, not like I'm not cold. It's like alright. These keeping me really warm.
Are they? Good.
Yes,
Good.
they're really comfortable.
I didn't think
Usually
they.
I have a hard time breaking boots.
I didn't think they'd be that padded
They're comfy.
on the inside. Oh, it's right here. That's her
That's a little part.
over there.
Like I'm not going to
That's
attack.
your parking garage. right
Yep.
there, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The cemetery on the left is huge. Me, Lori, Arlen, I think it was Arlen. We snuck into the cemetery up on the right hand side.
Oh, you can get in?
Well, we had some stuff. You get in big trouble with it. We were drinking.
No, I would like to.
I know.
Alright, so there's a lot going on in this corner, and it's very popular. So
This one?
The corner, like this whole entourage right here, plus we have the powder magazine right here. I'm going to end there. But the reason why everybody goes up to the cemetery, and keep in mind too, I don't take you to an actual cemetery because if you were dead, are you going to hang out where you're buried? Probably not. You've seen Eliza. She came all the way down from Philadelphia to come tell me what happened to the damn mansion tonight. So the reason why they're all over there is because there's a sign right inside the gate that says there's no ghost at St. Philip's except for the Holy Ghost. There's a reason for that. So there was a woman, 1888, who died 10 days after her stillborn child. Her name was Sue Howard Hardy. Now, 1989, 101 years later, we have a local photographer taking pictures all over our cemeteries and captures a full apparition with a woman wearing a shawl and a baby basket next to her. He sends the picture off to Kodak because we don't have cell phones and Photoshop and all that mess. So Kodak cannot debunk the picture. So I don't show the picture because allegedly it's cursed. Like as you can imagine, I'm a very superstitious guy. It said that females that hold the picture will start to not feel well. Ladies that are pregnant will not have a good pregnancy. I'm not cursing my tours that way. So I'm going to tell you, because there's a lot of piratey stuff around here too. So there's two sides of the cemetery. Calhoun's buried on the side that we're standing on now, because he's not an original native Charleston. Those folks are over there. he's buried on this side. They did move him several times. You'll hear that on any tour. It's not fascinating to me. But right past this half of the cemetery, there's a house. It's called the Pirate House. It's got a big anchor on the front. Somebody lives there. So again, residential, can't go up and see it. But there used to be a tunnel from the Pirate House all the way over to Dock Street Theater, which is a full block away. The pirates would come in off of Blackbeard ships, go hang out there, have a few women, go over and see a show. It's kind of how that went. We just filled that tunnel in back in the 1990s. So there was rumor that Blackbeard's treasure was buried there. Not true. So we'll never know, but not true. So there's another ghost at Dock Street Theater, and it's the reason why I kind of go around the circle here. So Dock Street Theater is an interesting tale. First, this used to be Dock Street. It was named after, obviously the theater. So the theater, and then it became a hotel called Planters. Then we turned it back into the theater that we know now. During the time it was Planters, there was a young lady that worked at the church. Her name was Nettie Dickerson, and she was past the marrying age of 17. She was 23. Nobody wanted to marry her. But she's seen all the prostitution that was going on down at the hotel, and how all the ladies were being loved, and so forth and so on. She thought that's what she wanted to do. So she puts on her best red dress, she goes down to the theater, or to the hotel, gets herself a job. She's the best loved girl in the whole place. But she's still not happy. So what does she do? She goes out to the second story balcony all the time and ponders about coming back to the church. And one night the priest sees that, and he goes down, and he wants to convince her to come back to the church. A storm rolls in, and lightning strikes the wrought iron banister that she's leaning on. It strikes her dead. Now, her ghost is said to be seen in there from the knees up. The reason for that is because when we turned it from Planters Hotel into Dock Street Theater again, we raised the first floor ceiling. She's walking on the floor that she knows, so you can only see her from the knees up. So the other ghost there is Junius Booth, father of John Wilkes Booth, who shot Lincoln in a theater, which is another ironic piece. Again, there's so much that goes on in here as far as stories, but I get very little evidence out of this corner. We are going to go up to the Powder Magazine. Now, this is the oldest government building. Actually, I think that's still standing in the country today, 1712. So that's, 1713 on this building. It has got a groin vaulted ceiling, which means it has 32-inch pillars on around the outside that all meet into the center, and the roof is filled with sand. So if it was ever attacked, the blast would stay contained. That's why it's designed that way. It's a museum now, super cheap to go into. If you're into war stuff, that's the place to be. It has all the armory and all that stuff in there. There was a pirate that allegedly is seen back on the air. So it's Anne Bonny that is said to be seen here from time to time. Her ghost, they say, is so strong you can see it all over town. I've never caught anything from her yet until we tested this area out last night, and the name Anne shows up on my spirit box. So Anne Bonny got married to a gentleman his name was James, and then she started having an affair with a pirate. His name was Calico Jack. So she started helping him out on his ship, and then she sneaks onto his ship dressed as a man. She can't reveal that she's a female on the ship because it was just unheard of. Well, she finds somebody else that did the same thing. Her name was Mary Reed. So the whole crew gets arrested after a battle, and then they find out that there's 2 women on the ship. So they are tried and hung, and what's funny is today is the 300th anniversary of that trial for the 2 women. So that would be Anne Bonny and Mary Reed. So that was in November 28th, 1720. So kind of keep that in mind. They both claimed to be pregnant, so they delayed their hanging. Now, they kept Mary in jail, and she died a year later, but Anne got released because her dad was a big prominent person over in Ireland and released her through parole. She lived a long, healthy life at 84 years old. So, again, just a weird pirate story that I'm still learning all the details for to see what comes up with the spirit boxes and what I hear. So we're going to kind of walk near the Powder Magazine. I think the vehicles are there. I don't know if they're working still. They probably aren't. But we're going to go up and kind of see if we get any answers from it. So go ahead and turn your spirit box up and make sure we're good on time. So we're going to spend about 5 to 7 minutes here, and then we'll kind of call it and wrap this up.
Okay.
Hi, John.
You ask questions? Or?
No, I can't. Here's Kevin, so
You've got a lot of information. I can't remember it all.
thank God he's gonna send you whatever this is.
I don't know who. Sorry about that.
Really?
Hello? Did you hear hello?
Hello.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it's a hello.
I got mine in my ears, so I don't hear yours. And Bonnie, if you're hanging out with us, put your name on the screen like you did last night. And Bonnie, Pirates, any kind of form that you're here.
You getting anything, man?
They all cut through here and go into like the congregation, like the Lutheran church. Probably where they're headed. I actually need to know that story of why they go there. But they don't do like the big John's and Pinky Mansion site like I do. I'm the only one that kind of does it. Holy cow, there's like 50 people over there.
Look at her
They're
shoe.
ruining my vibe. We have to see what these shoes. These shoes right up over there, blue and green.
Something about for trial.
For trial.
For trial. I don't know what that meant.
Well, they were both on trial.
Oh, it said for trial.
I'll take it. To those large groups, I can't see doing that. So, two of my people last night accidentally joined one of the other tours by accident, and they had no clue that they had 2 extra people.
Yeah.
I keep track of you guys.
How can you keep track of 50 people?
Well, they're allowed to go up to 20. I'm allowed to go up to 20. I just won't do it.
Yeah,
I
that's
think-
a lot.
Yeah, that's definitely at least 20.
That's why it's harder to get on my tours, and the demand stays up.
True.
The last election.
The last election.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
I think I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna get you guys cards, and that way you guys can check out the website ahead of time. But I will text you in the morning
Okay.
the direct link and see what we find. I'm pretty excited about For Trial. I'm excited about anything coming out of here
Stop
right now
it.
because I didn't believe the story before.
Good.
Yeah, go ahead and stop it.